It's fair to say you were very successful in Savay, isn't it?
The first year I never had a bite, not on a day ticket and everything. But I just fished the canal bank. So I weren't allowed through the gate for the coal bank and everything because I was on a day ticket. I've been round there for having the socials and everything like that, but I couldn't fish round there. So I didn't know that bank, and it was a bloody long walk anyway, you know, and me being a lazy bugger. So I concentrated on the canal bank. And if I saw fish, I'd tell like Richie or Roger or, you know what I mean, then let them move in, and I'd fish the little in-between swims next door. You know, all the time I was learning. And so the next year, we had I got in on the syndicate. In actual fact, I was told on my first day that I was in, you know what I mean? Because it weren't a waiting list, it's if you're face fitted, you know what I mean? Like, and luckily, I got on with everybody, you know? And so I got put on the loony rotor, right? And then Richie went, oh, no, you see, Richie kicks off about it, Richie McDonald. He went, no, he said, we've got loads of full-time anglers, you know what I mean? Like, he said, stick them on the toe. I went, Rick, I said, no, I said I was happy to accept whatever I got, and I'm on the loonies, you know what I mean? Like, but he didn't want the competition or anything, you know? So I got stuck on the toads, which really pissed me off as well, you know what I mean? Like, you know? But they were a good bunch of lads, just not in us, not like Roger and Bob and everyone like that, you know? And so then I was a toad. I didn't like being called a toad, you know what I mean? But I got a photograph somewhere of me with a hat on with a big frog on it. So like it's the first day now, and we had a draw, and I think I went in a bonfire. I think I wrote about this recently somewhere in on a Facebook old school carp page, and I was next door to Big Cliff. He was a publican, you know, big geezer he was, big old boy, and Johnny Allen's father-in-law he was, and he was fishing beside me, and I was sitting there, and it was on about the third bar. There was loads of fish cruising up and down during the day, and then come about 11 o'clock, and Pete Brock's up, let us cast out, you know, before midnight and that, you know, on the 15th. So I figured that, I've seen it over the garrison, like these fish are all in these holes in the weed, and at night they just go down, you know what I mean? So I see all these fish on this bar, and I figured that they'd go down at night, you know? So I whacked them out, so I spooked them, you know what I mean? Let it sink and everything, pulled it back, bump, bump, just feel about 2 bumps on the gravel, and I thought that'd do me, you know, put them down. And then I was fishing. We come up with this unique way of putting a clip on the like here, and we used to have our monkeys right up tight to the rod, so it was on a real tight line. That way you could see your slackers as well, and they'd pull it out the clip. And because we've been doing this over layer, you see your rod top cut, and there's a fish on, you know what I mean? Even though it ain't pulled out the clip. Other people, their rods are going like that, and they're leaving it because they ain't pulled out the clip. You know what I mean? I've got one bleep. I got up, I went whack, and I'm into a fish, you know. And Cliff went, fuck. He said, you got one on? I went, yeah. He said, I heard that. It was one bleep. I said, do you know what I mean? Like, and he was stopping it. He said one bleep. He said, yeah, you know. He was stopping. They couldn't believe that I caught a fish on one bleep. So I got from nothing. And then, that first week, I think I caught 10 fish. You know what I mean? And I don't want to blow my own trumpet in, but that year, I caught the most, lost the most, and had the lake record, you know. It was only like a bit of dedication, but I had that pucker salmon flavour as well, you know. I was using that. Before it was called pucker salmon.
How much was bait on your mind at that stage?
It weren't. No, not really.
Is it true you once wrote that everything you know about bait could be written on the back of a postage stamp?
Yeah. At that time, yeah.
Yeah. But presumably, you know, you're influenced by people like Rod. Rod is...
Yeah, but I started to learn now, you know what I mean, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm in like astute company, like Roger and Bob. I mean, Roger was talking to me over Savay, you know, and we was chatting about this, that and the other. And next thing, he's telling everyone that I'm going to slaughter the place and everything. I went, what, you know? I said, what gives you that idea? He said, if you don't know now, you never will. And I thought, he said, something you said. I said, what have I said? You know what I mean? We were talking about all sorts and that, you know, and he said, what bait were you using over layer? I went, oh, like liquid liver, that Minamino and everything. And that's what they were using. But then, you know what I mean? That's what I knew I was going to do well, because I was using, like, but I weren't using, if I'd have known, I'd have used it. I didn't use it over Savay. So I thought it was good for layer, but not good enough for, you know what I mean? Like, you know, not good enough for Savay. But because I'd using, he knew that's what he was using and doing well on, you know. So he thought I was going to use the Minamino on, but I didn't. But he told everyone, you know, I said, don't put pressure on me, mate. Everyone's thinking, who's that cocky little fucker? You know what I mean? Like, think he's going to slaughter this, you know what I mean?
Some of the best days, Savay days?
Yeah, without a doubt. All for one a month or all. You could go down a pub or the Indian and potless, you know. You didn't have to go and like they will put a fiver in a whip. You never had a fiver, but you still had a drink because the following week you'd be minted and someone else wouldn't and whatever. And right, the bottom line was we always had Pete the Brain. Right, he was a scientist. He was a very, very clever guy. But there's a thin line between genius and nitwit, and poor old Pete had a foot either side of it, you know. And he was very, very clever, but he made like remote controlled. Well, he started off life. He got a degree in zoology, and he imagined he'd be out in Africa on a jeep, lassoing hippos and rhinos and whatever. He ended up looking for a microscope in a lab, and he thought, sod all this. So he went back to university, and he'd done another degree in electronics. In actual fact, he was on permanent secondment to the government and everything, and I think he had something to do with our radar. He was a radar expert. I think our radar defences depended on him. He made the thing that shot down the Exocets and all stuff like that on the warships and everything. Very, very clever guy. And he wired up his buzzers so they worked on his radio. So he'd go wandering down the bank with his radio, you know what I mean? And then as soon as he turned, he used to run in his swim and go, drrrr, and he'd go, drrrr, like, all of a sudden Kiss would stop and he'd go, beep, 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 and he'd come running back to his, we had him running about like a good one.
But in the pub?
Yeah, right. Because he worked for the government, he had I think he had about 20 or 40,000 pound limit on his card, you know, for his exes. So, right, we'd all go down there, and then it was all sort of potless, but Pete's there. And then Roger was saying, oh, because Pete was a connoisseur of wines and everything. He said, Pete, what's a good wine to go with chicken tikka masala, right? And Peter go, oh, well, you want a bottle of poulet fruze or something like that, you know? And Roger go, oh, 10, Gupta, he said, 10 bottles of poulet fruze for the lads, right? And he put all these drinks and things like that, you know? And at the end of the evening, right, he'll get your money out. You've got 10p, someone's got a quid, and you put it all down, right, and he'll look at Pete, right? And he go, oh, you rascals. But he liked it as well, you know what I mean? Like, you know? And then like, and end up with Pete would have to pay for it on his American Express thing. And Hutchie used to come down there, like Rod, because his missus used to like, you know, tell him off for like going fishing all the time, wasting money and everything. So Rod used to have to nick stuff out of his own shop and sort of trying to sell it on the banks, you know, at Savay and everything. But he always knew that whatever he had, he could sell it to Pete, you know what I mean? Because Pete always had loads of money, and Pete was really looked up to Rod, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know.
So he funded his drinking by selling stuff that he'd stolen out of his own shop.
You know, over the days, you know. He lost 50 quid once. You know, you got your little pocket there, ain't you, on your Levi's, on his 501s. We was on that pit 4. It was just me and him on there. And we'd been moping about and everything. And he went, fucking hell, Zonk. He said, oh, fuck. He said, I lost me money. And I said, where you been? He said, well, here, there. And I said, where was it? And we went through all these pockets and everything. And we had to go over a load of rubble. And I thought, oh, that could be, you know, we spent all day looking for his 50 quid. Because it was only like where it's folded up in his thing, you know. And I found it. And I thought he was going to kiss me. He liked his drink, you know. And like I say, 50 quid was a lot of money in them days, you know.
And what was the horse and barge like as an experience?
That was a shithole back then. We called it dead pork pie. Everyone went into the fisheries pub, you know. Oh, there was another one, I can't remember what it was called now. The Oak, Royal Oak. Like half in between the two pubs, you know. The horse and barge was terrible. That changed in later years. When we was in the 90s, when we was on Harefield, it upgraded and everything. And then it got to be the common place for everyone to meet up before they went clubbing in town and that, you know, in London. So what was it about Savay that kind of finished you as an angler then? Why did you disappear? I'll tell you for why. I had all those fish out of Savay. I had the 40 out of Harrow, well, when I was off. I say to Mrs. I'm off fishing. So when you're back, so I don't know. I could be back in a week or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you know. So when I was off rotor, I used to fish other lakes, and like Pit 3, like Gerrard's Cross, Waltonians, and like Waltonians during the day, Gerrard's Cross at night, or Pit 4, and just sort of guesting on the other lakes and that, you know.
Absolutely mad.
Yeah.
Like that must have taken its toll then.
No, what it was, sorry, I did all those fish. Then they started talking about me. Oh, he won't do it next year, and he won't do this, and oh, he won't. You know what I mean? Like I weren't there. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I thought, well, I go fishing for my own reasons. You know what I mean? I've just sort of been lucky. You know what I mean? And whatever. And a lot of the times I was stoned, and people say they used to come up to me and say, like, where do you reckon I ought to fish? And I said, like, oh, over there. Like, you know what I mean? And they come back, like, oh, fucking, I caught loads. Well done. You know what I mean? Like, well, you know. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't put a foot wrong, so I was out of my head half the time. Well, we all were having a smoke and everything. And then we all started talking about what they expected of me the following year. And I thought, I go fishing for my own reasons, not to meet their what's his names and everything. And I said, I've had enough of this. I started doing a bit of work in Knightsbridge and everything with a mate of mine from Savay. I'll get onto that later, maybe or maybe not. And I said, I'm not going to rejoin. I'm going to. And they went, no, we'll pay for your ticket. I went, no. I said, because they said, no, keep your ticket. It keeps the pressure off the place and everything. I said, well, if no one had dropped their ticket, I wouldn't have had a ticket in the first. You know what I mean? So it's only fair. And I said to Pete, I said, no. I told him what was happening and everything. And in actual fact, I think I'm the only bloke he's ever said you can come back. And he said, because we got on really well. You know, we knew a load of people, like the same sort of people, you know, and he was like well respected in all sorts of worlds, Pete was. And he said, mate, he said, if you ever change your mind, you want to come back, he said, you can have your ticket back. And he's never said that to no one else, you know. I remember he spent a day one time. We were doing a bit of work in Knightsbridge during the day and fishing Savay at night, like decorating and shit like that, scamming. And I'd parked on a path, and next minute I turned round, my car had disappeared. I went, fucking hell, I said, someone's nicked my motor. And the next door neighbour come out and he went, no, he said, police took it, you parked on a path. So then we tried to hunt it down, you know what I mean? And it was in Hyde Park, underground car park, went down there, paid the fine, paid the back tax and everything. I tried to drive back to Savay about 10 miles an hour. Something had happened to it where they roared off. And Pete skinned his knuckles and everything, stripping my motor down in a Savay car park on a weekend. And all it was about like a tuppenny diaphragm on the thing. Like, and Pete, he'd skinned his knuckles, he spent all day fixed my car for me so I could get home, you know. Yeah, we got on really well, old Pete. Shame he died, you know. At least he died doing what he wanted, where he wanted, you know.
That Savay car park certainly saw some
parties.
Scenes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we used to like set like a little bit and dance around it and dive over it, and Richie used to like do like handstand over it, and I thought, fucking hell, if he went in there head first, mate, he'd be dead. You know what I mean? Or he'd lose his hair, wouldn't he? Oh.